we were going to be talking about horror. Some of us love it, some of us hate it.
Hated it. Go ahead.
But with horror being so mainstream now,
Little reverb.
We are echoing because somebody doesn't turn down their recording material.
We're good. That's
a beer
right.
and a real, man. A beer and a real.
That's part of being a bear.
Beer and a real. But okay, with horror being so mainstream now, I mean, you have to come to accept that horror is going to be somewhere. I mean, you have The Walking Dead, zombies. Where did they come from? Horror. You have PG-13 movies that are horror, that are aimed for, more of a family audience feel. We don't have what we had in the 80s of slasher films and...
Dude, even then, you had... Poltergeist was a PG-13 family movie.
Yeah,
ish.
I mean, ish, but,
But we didn't have PG-13 then. It was either PG or R.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
But to his point, in the 80s, we had all these classic slashers. And in the 70s, known for Italian horror. Nowadays, what we're known for is, massive mainstream movies, TV shows, jump scares. It gets old, it gets repetitive, I can see. I'm a huge horror fan. And Brad is. We're going to hear both sides in a minute.
I slept you out like, I know Brad is, but we're going to hear both sides.
But what we're getting at is there's a lot to touch in on this subject. But what we're going to get at is what really is horror, why do some love it, and why do others just absolutely not like it in anything. So
there's absolutely no middle ground to this
there
genre.
That you're right.
You love it or hate it.
You're right.
Whether it's jump scares, whether it's atmospheric shit like The Witch, you love it or hate it. There's no middle ground.
You're absolutely right. Okay. Now, out of this group, I'm obviously the one that absolutely...
You're the odd man out.
110% hates horror movies. Here's why.
This is going to be interesting.
And I've not even discussed this before this.
Full on Dr. Phil now. And
I've not even...
We haven't discussed this before.
All my life, we've not discussed this, and they're going to hear my side of the story.
This hadn't been one of them.
Here's my reasoning. Horror movies, to me, growing up, were very scary. It's not because I'm scared of them. When I was a child, yes, they shook me. An 8-year-old that watches The Real Exorcist, the first Exorcist, you're going to be shook.
That's about the age I was sitting. Yeah, I can understand that.
The Chainsaw Massacre, the original, watching that growing up, yeah, I was scared as a child. I admit that. Now I'm an adult, I'm not scared. Here's why I don't like them. They have zero appeal to me at all. The way the in the 80s with the slasher films, to your point, they had characters that, yeah, they're the bad villains, they're the killers.
Larger-than-life characters.
Right, larger than life. Jason, Michael, Freddy. Say those three names, anybody in the world knows what those characters are, who they
even
are.
without last names, they know.
You know they are. And that's great. They did a good job developing those. But even in those films, which we all agree, those three names, we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of horror. Probably ever.
They actually should be.
Here's why I hate them. Thank you.
Chucky.
Even the guys who love this, you don't know if Chucky's on the Mount Rushmore or not, but
Leatherface.
we're talking about the Mount Rushmore. So if I go talk about the Mount Rushmore of basketball, and I say Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Bill Russell, and let's just say Larry Bird, LeBron, whoever. Let's just say who it
Walking
is.
out, you said LeBron.
Okay, look. All right, that's it.
You're leaving Kobe on?
Here's my point. And I make legitimate reasons to tear that Mount Rushmore down, then we all agree.
Yeah.
I'm right. Let me destroy it. In all of those films, you know what's going to happen.
There is a formula to slasher films.
Now, with that being said, before I walk in that theater, we know what's going to happen. Jason Voorhees is going to walk, and he's going to catch a person who's running a full sprint.
Now,
Michael Myers is going to walk, and he's going to catch a person that's running at full sprint.
I can argue that.
Hold on a second. The black guy is going to die first.
No way.
You
have watched way too much.
Wait a minute. There's a damsel in distress.
Yeah, that's every slasher film.
Right, there's a damsel in distress, and there's always, hey, what's that noise walking towards it? That's absolute bullshit.
Now-
Nobody's gonna walk towards a noise in a house that they're already fucking suspect as hell. Yes, I used the F-bomb. Let me get my point across. If I'm in a house that we're not really,
flagged because of the sky.
if I'm in a house where we're really not supposed to be there, and I start hearing noises banging around, I'm not going to, hey, what's that? In a town that I know there's a serial killer already, let me ease around the corner and see what my
guy in a elementary school class?
Well, then I've seen Kings of Comedy when he's talking about the white people. What the heck is going on? But he also says, "Let one black man get up right now and run out of here." He goes, "Let one black man get up and run right here." He said, "This whole damn place. What's she running for? Get Lisa Neal." It's the same concept. There's no way.
You see when
bullshit.
You guys see when we save this topic for the end.
And here's my point on it. Here's my point on it. We're not talking about B-rate. No. We all agreed this is the Mount Rushmore of these
Slasher,
movies.
not
No, we said horror movies.
No,
Slasher.
we said horror movies.
Bro, y'all both agreed before I started in on them.
We agreed, but slasher, and here's my
We didn't
defense.
say slasher. We said horror movies.
Slasher is still a subgenre.
I agree.
Just like you feel.
But before I
We
started
talked
my
earlier,
rant,
in blockbuster movies, superhero movies are a subgenre of blockbuster movies, right? Of action movies. Would you put, say, a Mad Max movie, an action movie, or hell, a Lethal Weapon on the... God, everybody loves the first Lethal Weapon.
great movie.
Put it on the same plane as, say, the Captain America movie. They're two different types of movie, but at the end of the day, they're both action movies.
Sorta.
Okay, now on that thing.
But we're talking about a
Exorcist-
Mount Rushmore of a genre of movies.
But at the end of the day, Exorcist, Friday 13th. Two completely different movies
Of course.
in subgenre.
But before I went in, we all agreed who was on the Mount Rushmore.
Because of the most
He's
associated-
Jason. I will put this up there. He has more probably on-screen kills outside of Arnold and Predator, because we all know that's the capital of like on-screen kills, Predator. But now here's the thing: when it comes to horror, what do you define as horror? Do you define
Saw is not a horror film. It's a
It
suspense
is.
movie.
it is a suspense, but it's still a horror.
I can't classify it as a horror.
Do you
A
enjoy
horror-
the Saw movies?
I enjoy them because they're
Do
suspense
you,
movies.
do you enjoy Final Destination?
No. Cheesy.
How
Predictable.
How are they different?
Well, Saw's realistic. Final Destination really isn't.
Technically, but you're put in a position that makes you queasy, that makes you uncomfortable.
Are they both considered horror? I'd say yes.
Horror is a
How
genre
is
that
Saw a horror movie?
Saw puts you in
Body
a position, like say,
Then Seven's a horror movie.
I'm not sure about the characters.
If Saw's a
in
horror
Saw.
movie, Seven's a horror movie.
I'm not sure about the characters. Who's the crazy bitch that ends up working for
I don't know.
Amanda or whatever? Take that first movie when she's putting the mouth thing. That puts you in an uncomfortable position because I'm not bringing up any past or anything. Have you ever tried anything not legal, whether it's marijuana, alcohol?
I think everybody has, yeah.
When you were younger,
Yeah, everybody
she
has.
was put in that position because she was on drugs. Something she shouldn't be able to do. That to me, that is what defines horror. Something that makes you queasy. Something that makes you uncomfortable. Something that makes you like, this isn't my normal everyday life. That's horror.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me touch on that for 1 second on the Saw movies. I've watched pretty much every one of the shock value horror movies that there is, and Saw 2 still
Have you
has.
seen Serbian film?
Yes, I have, unfortunately. And Saw 2.
Thank you for sharing that pain with me.
Saw 2 still has one of the most uncomfortable moments I've ever felt in my life.
What part?
Needle scene.
Is when the chick is just deadlifted and thrown into the pile of dirty needles, and you're
That was
just
actually Amanda, the villain of the Saw movies. That's
and
actually
you're
her.
just you see it just like slowly go through her skin and everything. And I mean, I've watched in E.T. the Killer when he's torturing people, and you get to see the stuff slowly go through like a dude's gum. Into
Oh,
his
God,
mouth
when he
he's
cuts
torturing. Yeah, when he's torturing the
Wait a
dude.
minute. Steve-O did that in Jackass Live, so we can't.
No, you actually need to watch some like full-on Japanese
Yeah.
hyper-violence
Hold up.
movies.
But
But
before
what
we.
I'm saying
Go
is,
ahead, I want to.
like,
Then I got a comment.
The shock value, and after watching a ton of shock value movies, for that to stick out among them, I would, rate that in a horror movie. Just because of body.
Here's my
horror
argument.
and
Here's my argument. Seven's a horror movie then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will always constitute Seven. Seven will always stand up as one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
I don't think
Just
it's a
because
horror
it-
movie though.
The
It's
good
a-
thing about horror is you have suspense. Have you seen Don't Breathe? Something that's over the last few years, a lot of people have argued, is it a horror movie? Anything that has your heart racing while you're watching this movie, anything that has you worried, anything that has you
uncomfortable.
upset, uncomfortable,
Any good
to
movie
me
should have
that
kinda
is
have that.
horror. Anything that makes you feel like, oh my God, is this gonna like wreck me? Is this gonna hurt me? Is this gonna even something like Don't Breathe, that the villains and the heroes are both pieces of shit.
Yeah, it's very blurred. You're like, who should
Yeah.
I be cheering for?
But that when you sit there and worry the next 5 minutes what's gonna happen, that's a horror movie. Anything that
All right.
hurts, that worries you.
Let me defend myself again.
We will.
Um,
The 2-on-1 debate.
I can't. It has nothing to do with being. There's nothing.
I'm just messing with you. I mean,
It has nothing to do with being scared. I'm an adult male now.
I have
Here-
kids
here's
movies like Monster House that like make me have jump scares, so I can't say
I would
that.
say jump scares are overrated.
Yeah.
that's Jurassic Park some horror then. So
They're trying to make it out.
here's my point. Like
Part 3 was, but
there's
Horribly
there's
bad.
nothing that really. I can't. It's kind of hard to explain what I'm about to say, but I'm going to take a stab at
we
it.
have caterers.
There's nothing that comes there. Here's my thing about it. There's nothing that really appeals to me from a horror standpoint. Is I either know what it's going to be, but the one word that always comes to my mind in every single horror movie of all time is cheesy.
The
It's
Shining.
cheesy.
The Shining.
The Shining was good acting in a cheesy movie.
Now, with that said,
Blair Witch Project. Defend that, please.
I will defend Blair Witch
Because everybody
Witch
thought it was
Project.
real.
No.
They did at first.
I will
I'll be
defend
in
that.
Alien movie.
No, I will defend that on the whole found footage thing, because you take that stole from a movie in 1979 called Cannibal Holocaust, to where the director literally had to call the actors out of hiding.
'Cause he went to
The
jail.
first true found footage movie, he got charged with 4 counts of murder, and actually had to get the actors out of hiding to prove that they weren't dead.
I'm gonna go into some horror
Blair
stuff
Witch
right now.
Project was good.
You like the
To
first
it-
Blair Witch Project?
I actually do like it because
That's the worst.
I grew up.
A Talented
on
Mr. Ripley and Blair Witch Project's the two of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Blair Witch Project. Shut up. We won't talk about the other movie.
I mean, it's just they're both atrocious.
we already had our discussion on that. But
I've never left
I
the
will
theater with
talk
my
about
fist more
Blair
clenched.
Witch just because it played on ideas from, what was it? Cannibal Ferox, Cannibal Holocaust, like
It
some
was
of the
original
early,
in the U.S. Is what
some of the original, found footage movies that nobody, maybe 10% of U.S. film goers knew about.
No, not even back then. I would say.
Wait a
I would
minute.
say back then, maybe
Wait a
5%,
minute.
20 years ago.
Blair Witch was not found film footage.
It
No, that's what it was sold as, though. It was trying to make that whole
It was all a lie.
mockumentary. It's an actual genre.
When you
Mockumentary.
realize that didn't really happen.
Now, if you
You want to punch everybody in the theater in the face.
no, I was
Horrible.
pissed off.
Everybody
But at the
was
same
pissed
time,
off.
if I knew about Cannibal Holocaust, I knew about these films that tried that beforehand, and I go back and look at the history of those films, like Cannibal Holocaust, the director of that movie was brought up on murder charges.
Yeah, that's how real that movie
That movie may be great, but Blair Witch is still a piece of dog shit.
I think it was good in the fact that it brought that whole idea of a subgenre of films.
Can I defend horror films for a minute? Even though I hate
You
them,
actually blame them.
I'm about to defend horror films in a minute.
You're about to break the channel. We may never stream again.
Yeah,
I'm going to defend horror films, and I'm going to do it in a way that I guarantee neither
You
one of
just
y'all have
killed
an
our
idea.
whole clique like
Right.
that.
I'm the guy who hates horror films, and I'm about to defend them. I'm a huge, absolute, huge fan of the LD50 album by Mudvayne. That is the album that snapped me out of my Tool trance. I was in a Tool trance
love
where
that. That's
all I
actually
did
good.
was listen to Tool for 4 or 5 years, and then I got into Bill Hicks because of Tool, and I only listened to Bill Hicks and Tool for 4 or 5 years in a row.
It's crazy.
And then the LD50 album came out from Mudvayne, which snapped me out of my trance. Thank you, Lord, because now I've opened my eyes to a lot of other stuff. But on that LD50 album, there is a song called Nothing to Gain,
Which is about again.
which is about Ed Gein. And anybody knows anything about Ed Gein he is the story behind
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs, like
This guy did the stuff.
Okay.
This guy did the stuff that they based these movies around.
I'm gonna call my time out right here.
Go ahead.
You've called, and even though you've pointed out one of the great, maybe movies ever made, The Shining, as being cheesy, please tell me about Silence of the Lambs. What's cheesy about it as a horror movie? And
Silence of the
I
Lambs.
don't really think it's a
won
true
Oscars.
horror movie.
It is the
I think our definition of horror movies are different.
Silence of the Lambs is the first true horror movie to ever win an Oscar.
I don't.
Was it? I think it's the first horror movie.
My version of a horror. He's probably googling horror movie right now.
horror movie. My definition of horror is anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, anything that upsets you. When
Any
you
good movie
watch-
you should get upset in.
No, when you watch Silence of the Lambs,
Drama, crime, horror. Silence of the Lambs is what it's
Did-
listed as.
Drama,
that not-
crime, and horror.
did that not really?
Was it not more based
When
on
it
her
showed-
solving the crime than him slashing fucking people?
No,
I'm sorry,
it
but
wasn't.
F-bomb.
But that first scene when they finally
I think we're fucked
exposed,
up enough that we're just going to have to throw mature content on this.
Go
when
ahead. I
they
don't
finally actually showed Buffalo Bill.
who was
Even
fantastic.
the most corny scene when you see the woman in the pit. And you saw how he treated her with the lotion and all the joke
was
scenes.
insane.
All the joke scenes we've seen that first time, especially in our age range, when we were young, seeing that made us like, oh my god, this is. We've already lost the 17 and under crowd.
That's fine.
It fucked you up in your head.
Okay.
Like it disturbed you.
I don't think it did. I think it was a bit of comedy. If you were 17, you would laugh at that.
I was actually like 14. We were
But
14
now,
when that movie
let me-
came out and it fucked with my head.
Let me finish. Let me finish my quote about Ed Gein. So Mudvayne come out with this song, and he was like, this is what he said at a concert that I was
Nothing
at.
to Gain's an incredible song.
It is. I was at a concert where he goes, "This is about some decisions this guy made in his skin, and chances are it's about some."
Nothing Face, Mudvayne Disturbed at 5 Point South.
Yeah.
Me and Brett Tyler Smith, B1 honor. We went to that show. Yeah.
He said, "This is about some decisions that was made in his skin, and chances are it could be some decisions made in your skin." This song was called "Nothing to Gain," and then the song kicked off. Now, with that
Missing
being,
it in your skin, obviously, is
Now,
not to Ed Gein. And
no, that's what he was talking about.
but I mean, that's like when he says that.
Because he wore people's skin, yeah.
That's what he's talking about, right? So, but my point is, to horror's to promote horror in a little bit, you do have people in real life who do these things that you can make movies about. They're not going to be as popular as an Avengers, obviously, and they shouldn't be. The crowds are not going to flock to see a guy murdering a bunch of people.
What's the definition of horror, though?
An intense feeling, fear, shock, or disgust.
Yeah, so that kind of...
I'll let Brad finish and then I'll go into my point.
I'm sorry, that kind of...
I hadn't got to finish my Ed Gein point here yet.
No, I had to break that
Go
up
ahead.
because you mentioned Seven earlier. You mentioned this, and horror is not strictly about, oh my god, jump scares. It's about making you uncomfortable.
Okay, and my point, and then I'll let you continue.
Yeah.
One of the top grossing films this year, especially, aside Marvel movies, aside that, A Quiet Place, a horror movie at its core, a PG-13 horror movie, which I'm totally against. Horror movies need to be rated R.
But it fucks with you. Like
It does. It's a really good movie, but one of the top grossing movies, it's probably in the top 10 this year.
I think it is, actually.
And very under the radar, not really promoted at all, and it's a horror movie, so that goes against what you're saying of horror movies not being mainstream. And one of the number one shows on cable television is a horror show, The Walking Dead.
Okay. Again, my definition of horror is a little bit different.
Walking Dead is based on gore. It's based on zombies.
I'll give that one.
It's technically
I will not say Westworld is though.
Westworld.
I've not watched it, so
I've watched the first season, and
The second season drags.
Elitist shit here. I remember the old Yul Brynner movie, Westworld.
Yeah, that's what it's based
That's
on.
just pure sci-fi. Like that's.
Sci-fi meets a touch of horror.
There's a touch of horror, just like I will always come back to. Everybody talks about Alien. Alien technically is a horror movie, but at the core of it, it's still a sci-fi movie.
I would say it's a horror movie with sci-fi thrown in.
And I think a bit of action thrown in.
Which Westworld, in the show, they touched on a lot more of the drama. The building of this theme park, the things that the movie, in the 2 hours of the movie, couldn't touch on. But, as he said, the number one television series for the last fucking 9 years has been a show about zombies.
That's definitely not the number one show.
No, technically,
There's no way.
wise, you can go back and TV ratings.
There's no way it's number one over a Game of Thrones.
No, because it's HBO.
It's two different things. It's network and cable. Or cable and premium.
I definitely don't
whatever.
think it was more watched than Sons of Anarchy.
It's cable and premium.
Is it more watched than Sons of Anarchy? I don't know.
We won't get in that, but I mean, what I'm saying is,
It's very high. I
one
give you
of,
that.
if not the top show ever, had to deal with gore. Even if they
All
had
right.
4 episodes of one
Okay.
zombie dying and,
All right.
oh my god, who slept with who?
I'll give y'all
That's
that.
number 5 overall. Well, just
of all time.
Yeah, of all time. It's the number.
The number 5
Okay.
television
I'll give
show
y'all
of
that.
all time.
I'll give y'all that. I'm going to destroy it with this.
Please.
Please.
Give me a top 25 movie that's a horror movie.
Silence of the Lambs.
Pull it up.
Top 25 of
Are we
all
talking about
time.
gross?
Gross.
Probably.
I will
not.
pull.
Y'all are talking about straight up numbers, so let's talk about straight up numbers.
I'll
Give me
pull
a
up
top
box
25.
office
Give me a top
mojo
25.
all time.
Give me a top 25.
He may actually be able to review even one on this.
Oh, even if he does. My point being, if y'all want to bring up numbers, I didn't even want to bring numbers into
Now
this.
I have 3 categories: domestic, adjusted for inflation.
No. Overall.
So we'll do worldwide.
Worldwide. I mean, I'm not. And y'all brought up numbers. I didn't. So the guy.
You're fine to bring up number
Yeah.
one.
No, I didn't know. Y'all did. So
Like I said, you're fine to do it once we do it.
so my point is,
You want to bring up the fact that all Jurassic Park movies are the same, and they still are technically horror.
they're not horror movies. Jurassic Park's not a horror movie.
The first
I'm
one,
saying
yeah.
Jurassic World.
It's not a horror movie.
Jurassic Park has some moments in it that you're like, oh god.
Bro, if it was horror,
Now, if we bring up ticket sales,
they don't even show blood hardly.
If we bring up ticket sales, what's the number 9 movie of all time?
The Exorcist.
There we go.
That's not gross. Let's pull up gross.
No, gross. We can't say gross when we say.
Let's finish and then we'll.
Ticket
Where you
sales.
going? Where you going?
I was just standing up for a minute. Like I have to. Like you're getting me fired up.
You can't. There is none.
You can't say gross because
We can't adjust for.
we'll say 1978 when extras come out. Ticket sales were $2 a piece.
I agree.
What do we pay now? $10 to go to the movies. On a Friday, Saturday night, $9.50, $10.
You can't adjust for inflation, and that's in Alabama.
They did that on-
I don't mention Gone with the Wind because that movie stayed in the theaters for like 6 years, but that was back when there was only one movie in the theaters.
I agree.
But
So,
yeah, like he's saying, you have to adjust for gross on something like that. Like you can't. You have to go off ticket sales.
you have to go off the actual what movie put butts in seats.
Exorcist number 9.
Because would you put A New Hope over Force Awakens, even though Force Awakens is the number 2 grossing movie of all time?
It's a much better movie. New Hope is not Force Awakens.
Okay, I was literally.
No.
I know it's your house, but I was about to punch you in your house.
No, look. Let's make no mistake.
So you understand.
Before we go any further, let's get this out in the
That's-
open. Empire is the best Star Wars movie ever.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
hard.
think you missed my point. Like,
You're saying butts in seats.
butts and seats should matter. What movie put the most?
Okay.
And
Exorcist is
one of the top 10
9.
movies of all time is Exorcist,
Exorcist is 9.
which is highly considered the most important horror movie
And it's
of all time.
pure horror. I mean, what other?
That is a horror movie.
That movie had people going to church. That movie had people
That's
like,
all good. I mean, like,
dropping their religion, and suddenly they're all Catholic, they're all Baptist. Like, they saw this 10-year-old kid get, possessed, even though it was all an act. It
And that-
freaked people
it's an
out.
act, but that happens in real life. I mean, that stuff happens in real life.
Possessions do happen whether you believe in supernatural or not, whether it's mental issues or
Right.
not.
So, I mean, it was. I think the reason it hit home so good is because that does really happen.
But at the same time, horror before that was slashers, zombies, Roger Corman, like big monsters, like
Oh,
nobody
and I know
actually touched
people-
on people's beliefs.
I mean,
and then
well,
the Exorcist
let me say
come
this.
out.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna
Exorcist
blow.
come out, like, challenge your
Something that
beliefs.
y'all both probably have no idea about, but I'm gonna say this, and it's probably gonna blow both of y'all's minds. With this subject being brought up, I had a paranormal group myself that I ran for 2.5 years.
Weren't y'all actually like tied to taps at one time? I know you mentioned.
I was with a group that was tied to taps.
Okay.
I wasn't. My group personally wasn't. I broke off from that group because I realized that they were not authentic or original.
I'm sitting here watching my wife like getting highly interested now.
She's right. But yeah, the group that I was with, they didn't do a lot of things that I thought was original, and they did a lot of things that I didn't. In other words, the first season of Taps was phenomenal because they found very little, and that's realistic. I've done over 1,000 hours, and out of the 1,000 hours, I found about 1.5 minutes worth of investigating that I thought was kind of unexplained. And let's be honest, The Exorcist and horror is based on the unexplained and why is this happening, especially The Exorcist. There's no doubt. Yeah, I'll take one of these. Sure, go ahead.
How stoked are you though for that 1.5 minutes that you're like?
It blew my
was it
mind.
worth, like all those hours that you spent.
Absolutely.
I'm
gonna say something.
It hasn't been authorized. I've done some ghost hunts, but honestly, what made me most excited when I'd go in these abandoned buildings, and I've never experienced anything, but just the thought in my mind
That could happen.
that something could get in there and fuck with my head, something could scare me. That is the most excitement in many issues that I've dealt with, just for the simple fact is I could be scared and it may never happen, but knowing that I'm about to have
This could happen.
this could adrenaline rush.
But to me,
Like I said,
I've been to Waverly Hills. I've been
to y'all's points though, that's what horror to me is based on. It's the unexplained. It's the unexplained. It's the chance that something bad's really gonna happen.
I've spent the night in the Old Brass. The best thing about spending the night in the Old Brass Hotel and
You went to
Brass
Waverly?
Hospital, I went to Waverly Hills.
When did you go to Waverly?
When did I work at?
Who'd you go
I'm
with?
asking my wife. When did I work at?
The reason I asked is
When did I
I
work at the bar? 2013.
the reason I asked is
It was the year 2013, 2014.
the reason I asked that is because we went there and investigated it.
It was 2011, 2012. When did I work at Hideout?
Phone a friend.
I'm calling phone a friend.
Shh.
When I met you, 2013.
Let's just say it's 11. Go ahead.
I went up there. Like it was one of those.
Did you go with a group or you?
No, it was me and a couple friends. One of those sneak in, like break.
Y'all snuck in there?
Yeah. I didn't know how to do it then. That was around the same time we went to the Old Bryce Hospital on the old Alabama. Well, now we didn't know it. About a year later, Alabama actually bought the Old Bryce Hospital, doing that whole like sneaking in and trying not to get arrested thing.
We suggest against that. Don't do anything illegal.
Yeah, please don't do anything illegal.
Bring us back to our
I was a
topic, and we're about
horrible
to close. I think we've
I don't know if we've actually covered this good enough.
I think we have.
We have him.
Do y'all not think we're at a point we can close or no?
What makes you love horror versus what makes you hate it?
All right, we're going to close with that.
That was the whole point of this
okay.
topic.
Since I opened this, I'll let y'all go and then I'll.
Okay, I'll go first. The reason I hate horror is because, to me, it's predictable. True horror is predictable. Saw was not predictable. I don't think it's true horror though. It's kind of. I don't get scared as an adult like I did as a child, which is what they're basing their whole thing on, which makes me not like it even more. I've not seen a movie preview in the last 20 years, and I'm not being excited. I've not seen one movie trailer in 20 years where I was like, man, I can't wait to go see that. There's a trailer that comes out every month that I cannot wait to go see. This is talking about personal feelings. You guys may be 100% different.
As a fanboy, were you not like when like the Freddy versus Jason like
As a
trailer
kid,
out?
seeing that, you were excited.
I was excited to see that because we're talking about creme de la creme.
That was the first true like.
It was
Captain
creme.
America versus Batman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Superman versus Hyperion.
That was
like, debate that kids.
But let's
had.
put that into a realistic argument right here. That was creme de la creme of horror.
Fair enough.
That does not even touch a candle to Captain America versus Iron Man in Civil War trailer.
Now,
Trailer?
To
The
me-
trailer?
shut up about Civil War. We're not getting into that. We know how you feel about it.
The Infinity Wars is not even in the same millennium as
To me, horror is. It's not a specific.
Force
genre.
Awakens trailer versus that trailer of Freddy versus Jason. It's not
I was
even.
actually more happy for Freddy versus Jason.
I'll be excited for that. Even though I
Dude, wait a
Force
minute.
Awakens.
They know what you're not
No,
telling the
here's
truth.
the thing
He's
I
not
look
telling
about.
the truth.
No, here's what I look at.
Freddy versus Jason, you was more hyped
I
than
can say
Star
this.
Wars Force Awakens. Not knowing what you know about
I'll
it now.
defend him.
How?
When I was in fucking Miss Crowley's class.
You cried during the Force Awakens trailer.
Yes, I did because
Did you
I
not cry?
I got
I'm not a big
Leia.
Star Wars fan.
I got Leia.
Oh, okay.
I got
Well.
Han. I got Luke back. But my thing with Freddy versus Jason, I'm saying when I was in Miss Crowley's class, 4th grade, one at Park Elementary School, 1987, the arguments me and my friends had were who won the fight? Freddy
Freddy
Krueger,
versus Jason?
Jason, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Leatherface. So the first time Freddy versus Jason, when they finally said, you know what, screw you, we're making this happen, it's like that inner 9-year-old come out of me. That's
good.
That's that first true.
That's one of the ones that got me hyped. I'll give you that.
Everybody looks on Facebook, social media, the debates. That gave us Dawn Justice. That gave us in the 80s Frank Miller writing Dark Knight Returns. What hero, what villain could beat what? That was the first true time we got these like heroes, villains, whatever, on screen to actually fight each other.
No, when we got that trailer and it hit,
And you saw Robert Englund and Kane Hodder on screen together.
it was just flashes. I remember like it was yesterday. It was just flashes of what was going on, and these random throwaway characters that no one gave a shit about because the whole movie is about Freddy and Jason because no one else fucking matters. In that
Even though one of them was like a member of like Destiny's Child or something,
Yeah.
still nobody cared about her.
But then you got at the end of it, you got that, and you got the slash mark
The-
coming down Jason's face, the hockey
I
mask.
kind of remember the trailer was like the and then you heard 1, 2. Like they put both theme songs together,
and you
it was
got
just
the
like,
hand
yes.
coming down
But
the
That
hockey
made-
he
mask.
pulled it into but
That made every 80s kid in this world happy as hell.
it did.
I'm not even an 80s kid. I was born in 1990. So.
Okay.
You youngin'.
It does. I agree with Bradley on that. But then you went and watched it, and it was a fucking the worst slasher
It was
cheesy.
horrible. It was.
Thank you. Which brings me
was
back to my
horrible.
original
But-
point that horror movies are atrocious.
But we'll go
Also-
back to our discussion.
We're talking about
Two
we
times
got
ago.
Michael Jordan versus Magic in the finals.
We
and
will
it's
go
awful.
back to our discussion 2 times ago. It was horrible as hell, but we'll put it on that first Michael Bay. And God, I can't believe I'm bringing up Michael Bay again. That first
Wait a
Transformers.
minute. Let me ask you a question.
That first Transformers was horrible.
No,
but was
why?
it fun to see
Wait
it
a minute.
live
The first
in your face?
Transformers is not horrible.
It is
Actually is fucking
The first
terrible.
one, as opposed to which one's better?
None of them.
No.
They're all horrible.
Wait a minute. There's no way. The first Transformer, first Transformer was a very decent.
I had Shia LaBeouf sitting in his parents'
Bro,
bedroom.
he
telling me like to ignore the fact that there's a
Wait a minute,
giant
wait a minute.
robot outside of my window.
Wait a minute. Let's get him out of the equation for a minute. Who cares about him in that movie? Look what all the
driving force.
He was the
No, he's not.
character.
Are you kidding me right now? The Transformers were the
He
main
was the
character.
headliner. Like you go back and look at the poster, Shia LaBeouf was the
Bro,
headliner. Megan Fox was the eye candy.
Even
Optimus
during-
Prime was the oh my god, we got action.
no,
character.
bro, no,
Even
he's
during
not.
like the battle scenes, you see Shia LaBeouf like running around uselessly, and it's
They even what was it, the second
No.
or third movie? They made a big scene out of him dying, like he was the main character.
No, bro,
I think
you
it was the
got
second when he actually
the
died.
first Transformers movie. I will defend.
I'll defend it on the fact it was a good popcorn action movie.
Yeah.
But you get my point. Like the Freddy vs. Jason movie was made.
It was
literally-
atrocious.
It was a horrible movie, but
It's not in your top 1,000 movies.
no.
Which leads
no,
me back to my
it's not
original
in the top
point.
100 actually.
It leads me back to my original point that horror movies are just not that good.
The remake of Dawn of the Dead, the thing.
The James Gunn, the thing, John Carpenter's thing, the first Halloween.
Somebody,
First Halloween's actually
none
considered
of
on
y'all,
AMC's top
the
100.
guys defending horror movies, neither one of y'all have defended the only horror movie that keeps horror movies relevant in the last 5 years, which is It.
I personally,
I will defend the miniseries before I'll defend the movie.
Well, that's the only thing that keeps them relevant in the box office the last 5 years.
I personally,
Have you not seen the box office for The Conjuring? Have you not seen
The Conjuring's a joke.
The Conjuring's one of the highest grossing movies of the last 10 years.
No.
Actually, it is.
It's not a high. I guarantee you, Black Panther, any of the Avenger movies.
No, it's not a $1 billion
God.
movie,
No,
but
it's not.
here's my thing.
No.
Any R-rated movie is not one of the highest grossing.
Deadpool.
Deadpool still didn't beat.
I guarantee it beat The
I'm about
Conjuring.
to be shit all over because my beliefs. It still didn't beat a Christian movie.
It did not beat Passion of the
It
Christ.
did not
the
beat
best
Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ domestically destroyed at the box office.
But it's still not beat a Christian movie. Horror movies, R-rated movies, generally will never beat anything else. We know that just because they cut off an entire.
Noah was a
section.
Christian movie made by an atheist.
What was?
Noah.
That movie sucked.
It was still a
ass.
PG movie,
It was a Christian movie made by an atheist, though.
but it was horrible.
Sucked
It was
ass.
horrible.
Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge was an
Is it
incredible
great
Christian movie.
movie?
Let's wrap
but
this
it
one
was
up.
still an
Let's wrap this
R-rated
up.
movie.
Let's wrap this up.
Okay, but
Definitely.
final
Rich.
thoughts, Brad. Final thoughts, and I'll end it
Go,
with my
Bo.
final thoughts.
My final thoughts: horror movies are awful. They're not even in the top. Don't even mention it as a genre. It's that bad.
horror, it will always
Hey,
be.
we got 1 minute. Go.
Horror will always be an important genre. Just because.
I took
you
10
have
seconds. You've had 10 seconds. Go, peeps.
You said 1 minute. What the?
Do I need to go further? Let's say 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay,
Horror is an incredible genre. It has its flaws, probably more than any other genre, but it is important to movies in general.
Okay, 1970s we had Italian horror movies. 1980s we had slasher films.
When you say Italian horror, what does that mean? Hold up. Pause.
Okay, we had
Cannibal Holocaust.
Cannibal Holocaust, Suspiria,
Cannibal Ferox.
Cannibal Ferox actually came out.
These are movies that not even the mainstream.
No, I mean,
But movie lovers know what they are.
in the 90s we kind of
Which brings me back to the horror movies are awful. Awful.
We kind of had a long period for that, and then
we had the teen horror movies.
Yeah, we
Go
had
ahead.
the teen horror
The
movies.
Screams.
Yeah, the
Screams is
non-
suspense,
Trying to
childhood.
reboot slasher.
It's Varsity Blues with a knife. Go
Dude,
ahead.
I love Varsity Blues. Don't get me started.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Billy Bob. Billy Bob's one of my favorite characters.
Varsity Blues is a great movie, but
Yeah.
Scream's not. Go ahead.
But then in the 2000s, we had the resurgence with Saw, and then we had the resurgence with
The
jump
torture porn.
with torture porn, basically.
Saw's not a horror movie. Go ahead.
And then we had jump scares.
Go watch The Witch.
And jump scares are the absolute worst thing in the world. I mean, they have
Yes.
literally ruined horror movies to the point of...
To the point where action movies are full of them.
Yeah, well, the point of you're like, oh, off camera. I mean, there we go.
Yes.
There's a fucking jump scare for you. But
That's the jump scare thing, and it's.
what we're
Can we
doing-
please replay that in slow motion? I can't wait to watch that. And I know we're running long, but that is worth all this.
Oh,
what
yes.
we're doing is
I can't talk that. I'm walking on screen now. Like,
Go ahead. Let him finish. Let him. What does it mean?
what we're doing is we're ruining mainstream horror, and we've had movies like The Quiet Place come out that was very under the radar.
It follows.
10
It
seconds.
follows
10 seconds.
Babadook.
The Witch was
The Witch.
incredible.
The Witch, Conjuring, pretty good.
Don't breathe.
Don't Breathe, yes, very good.
5 seconds.
Back to my point.
Okay, Bob Barker.
4.
But to my point, what I'm
Three.
getting at is we've had horror movies, and I didn't even mention this earlier, which I'm going to touch on, even if they're fucking counting me down.
Pet Cemetery.
We've had horror movies all the way back to black and white days. Nosferatu, Frankenstein, Werewolf,
Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
All
We've
horrible.
had
All
these
cheesy.
movies all the way back to the days of. We've had these
Negative 10 seconds.
We've had these movies all the way back to the days of when cinema first started in the United States.
It's probably one of the most original genres of movies.
Negative 20 seconds.
And what we're looking at now is where more of the independent, again, and the horror movie franchises are starting to shine. And that's where I'll leave it at. Though I am, one final thought, I am very hyped for the new Halloween. It looks very good.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers on screen.
Another slasher horrible movie. Cheesy will know what's going to happen before it
John
happens.
Carpenter is one of the greatest directors ever.
Guys,
Let this guy lie to you.
we are about to close this.
If you argue against John Carpenter, then
We are 2 for 1 negative.
Channel just died. This stream just died.
Absolutely, guys. You guys have a good night. Close this, baby.
Thank you guys for
we
tuning
love John
in.
Carpenter.
We're closing this.
This is what we promised y'all. 3 people with different opinions.
3 people with obviously different opinions. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Have fun. Enjoy. We'll see y'all next week, guys. Jump scared.